Hello everyone, I am Kaylee Norman and I worked with Hannah Souls and Mike Ralston on a forecasting analysis for the Dram Shop. For our analysis, we looked at each quarter individually to forecast sales for the upcoming year, and then we also looked at different events happening both around Missoula and at the Dram Shop to see what type of effect they had on sales. We will begin by looking at quarter four, which is the current quarter we are in. It runs from October to the end of the year. So for quarter four, we looked at sales from the quarters in 2015 and 2016, and we used that to forecast for the current quarter. And to do so, we took the average percent change from the past 2 years for quarter four and then multiplied that by the most recent year's quarter four sales. So in this case, it would be 2016. This next graph shows the sales by day during quarter four from the past 2 years, and then it includes a projection for the next quarter four. This was essentially calculated the same way as the daily quarter sales from the previous page. And you can actually see the effect that the Tuesday promotion, Tippling Tuesday, has had in 2016, especially, and 2017. Oh, I'm sorry, from 2016 to 2017. And you can also see the weekend popularity of the Dram Shop during quarter four. Now we will look at events from quarter four. So we looked at the homecoming weekend from 2017 and 2016 to see what type of effects it had on sales. We found that the 2017 homecoming game had a major effect on sales for both Friday and Saturday, but not as much on Sunday. There was a 26% increase in sales during that weekend in 2017 compared to a normal weekend when there's not, for example, a different football game or any other big event going on. From these findings, we would recommend thinking about additional promotions that the Dram Shop could use during football games or during that weekend for the football game to drive more traffic through the door. This slide just shows the graphs for each day of the weekend. You can definitely see that Friday and Saturday sales increased for homecoming, but not so much on Sunday. Next, we will look at the upcoming quarter, quarter one. Again, this graph just takes the net sales from 2016 and 2017 and takes that percentage change to forecast for 2018. And we think that this is an accurate forecast considering the Dram Shop is still fairly new and it is continuing to grow in the popularity. So we predict that sales will also go up accordingly. As you can see, Friday and Saturday are still the most popular days to enjoy some drinks at the Dram. We predict this trend to continue into 2018, again, with the growing popularity of the Dram Shop. Now looking at events from quarter one. We thought looking at the Big Sky Documentary Film Festival would be interesting just because of how many different people are brought into Missoula and how long the event is. It's actually from Friday to the next Saturday in February each year. And we also thought this would be good because the Elks Lodge, which is a main theater for the Big Sky Documentary Film Festival, that's just right across or right up the street from the Dram Shop. So in 2017, sales increased by over $500 a night on average during the weekend of the film festival. Saturday had the biggest jump with over a $900 increase. And from these findings, we would recommend that the Dram be aware of the effect that the festival has and try and see what type of movies are playing at the Elks Lodge and what time, and then staff accordingly because we would predict that because it's just right up the street from Elks Lodge that people, after watching a documentary or even before, might stop into the Dram shop and grab a few drinks. Then we also looked at 2 internal events. We looked at the Western Cider Night, which is depicted with the first circle that just highlighted, and then the second birthday party for the Dram shop, depicted by the second circle. Both events boosted sales significantly. The birthday party had a 54% increase on that Saturday sales, and then the Western Cider had an 84% increase on sales. That's nearly double what an average Saturday sales would look like. Because these 2 events were so successful and actually the most successful in the quarter, we would suggest continuing to promote these 2 events especially, and seeing what type of promotions or maybe sales you could do with these events. Lastly, we would just suggest being ready for this influx of sales and increase staff accordingly. Lastly, we will look at quarter 2, which runs from April to June. Here is our graph of the past year's sales along with projected sales. Again, this is calculated by the average percent change across the years added onto the most recent quarter 2 sales. So this graph shows that quarter 2 has more of a constant average sales per day, whereas the other quarters we've looked at, Thursday, Friday, Saturday were by far the biggest, but this kind of has less of a peak on those days and more constant sales. So for quarter 2, we looked at graduation weekend just because of how many people, again, are brought into the Missoula area. So the past graduation weekend in 2017 had a significant effect on sales with a 16% increase of sales throughout the weekend. 2016 didn't have much of an effect, but again, I'll keep on saying this. We think that the effect of these events is going to continue to grow as Dram Shop grows in popularity. And from this, we would just recommend seeing what type of promotions that the Dram Shop can hold during that weekend. Maybe like some sort of family promotion or something involving like the entire family or at least the graduate and their parents, and then staffing accordingly. And then these graphs just show how much of an effect that graduation weekend had on sales compared to a normal weekend. Look at Sunday especially. The numbers for graduation weekend are much higher than a normal weekend. And lastly, we just want to go over some final thoughts. With each quarter analyzed, we noticed that the events we looked at had much more of an effect in 2017. We think that this is because the Dram Shop is new and the word is kind of getting out of how awesome the vibe is and the selection they have. So we would predict that these events are going to continue to grow or going to have much more of an effect on sales. Also, the Dram Shop should make it a priority to look at external events happening around Missoula and how they can kind of piggyback off them and increase their sales. So, for example, what type of promotions can they be doing during this event to try and increase sales throughout that week or weekend? And then lastly, we know that the shop uses Square to do transactions on their iPad. So we think that it would be beneficial for them to throw in at the end of a transaction, to throw in a question that just asks their customers why they came in that day. For example, was it a Facebook promotion that they saw, or was it an Instagram post promoting an event that they were having, or were they just simply in the neighborhood or just wanted to have a couple drinks with their friends? Thank you for listening to my presentation.